guest has just appeared to my left. Sir, why don't you introduce yourself for the nice people?
Sure. Hey, I'm David Vandiwalker from Georgia State University.
Well, thanks so much for coming to talk to us. You had a session earlier today. Can you tell us a little bit more about the Freddie Martin session that just happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Freddie is a long-time DCI Hall of Fame member and brass specialist, obviously, but he's also a band director at Westminster School in the Atlanta area and has been teaching, I think you told them earlier, for 45 years. But Freddie was sharing with us some of the breathing techniques from Chickowitz that comes from now, it was once the Eastman, but now the Northwestern brass faculty that studied directly with Chickowitz. So he was sharing with us the relaxation techniques and really defining how we breathe from the low, middle, and upper portion, where most of us tend to get kids to breathe from the bottom part, but we kind of limit it there. But how we keep the relaxation all the way up, all the way through the extension into the embouchure. So, yeah, something in the back there, sponsored by Taco Bell. Okay, so we'll keep moving on that topic, but Freddie was also really talking about, as we really start to work on getting the lip vibrations to happen and different techniques of the most common problems, I guess, that younger students have with that, and helping us diagnose and prescribe some of that with some sample about double buzzing and pressure. And then the other part that we really were exploring, if you kind of checked in and saw some of our demonstration while we were listening to his audio, we were working on some balloon exercises. And so one of the great things that Freddie is an advocate for, from middle school all the way up to the drum course, is trying to overtrain and how to use the resistance of the balloon to work on overtraining of the breath control, and how we keep everything relaxed as we breathe, relaxed as we use the air column out, and then how do we quantify that and kind of trying to get rid of this subjectivity of dynamics and what is truly a forte, what's a piano, and how do we get students to respond to that. I guess we kind of took it, for years, the percussionists have quantified dynamics with stick heights, and we've all bought into that as educators, I think. And so we're just trying to take that idea, and he's using quantifications of a tempo 108 with the metronome. If we can take the full breath and release all the air in 12 counts and memorize what that feels like kinesthetically, just like a drummer learns what a 6-inch stick height feels like. And so if we can quantify those air columns, then we have real tools from getting down to be really specific. But what we've also discovered, like on a 20 count air, one of the hardest things for kids to do is to play softly and support and sustain the phrase. But now if we're learning kinesthetically, what does it take to blow our air in a relaxed format using all 20 counts and using all of our air consistently across those 20 counts? Once we've trained that and built that into our muscle memory, then we just use that example and we say, can I play this passage with the same air and just flow 20 count air? And all they're thinking about is that kinesthetic feeling of flowing that air, and it just happens like magic, because we're not having all that. We try to overthink it a lot in that context. So that's really what that was about, in using the overtraining with the balloon as a visual to help the students see whether they're using the air consistently, or if it's overinflating the first half of the counts or surging at the end. So it's a great tool from a visualization, but it's also great because it's that resistance that we get when we add the mouthpiece.
Well, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you have going on at Georgia State?
Well, we're really pleased with what's been going on. It's a vibrant music school there, the School of Music. We have almost 400 students in our music programs, from a degreed students. In the band department, we've just added the marching band 5 years ago with the addition of the football program. So we have 3 concert bands and a variety of chamber ensembles and whatnot from the ensemble conductor world that we're responsible for, and then marching band and a pep band. Marching band is the newest part of it, as I mentioned, but in our 5-year short history, we've been really proud of our students and their efforts, and we've been in the CBDNA top 5 in the Southeast, and then 2 years ago we were in the CBDNA top 10 marching bands in the country, and just marched in the Macy's Parade this past November. So we feel very blessed with the support and the aggressiveness of which our kids have latched on to the whole idea of our Panther band and its new growth. So
That's fantastic. You know, so many college bands in particular are steeped in tradition, and you have a unique perspective on establishing a university marching band, and now you're establishing what those traditions will be. People will look back and go, well, we do this because we always have. Well, these are the things that you're setting up. What kind of thought process went into that? What sorts of things have you done to put those things in place?
Well, I can't take any of the credit for that. My colleague, Dr. Chester Phillips, started the program and really did a great job of creating the mission behind the program of entertainment with excellence and really setting up the students. Dr. Phillips has a great history in public schools, and really we teach everything we do from a music education standpoint, and over half of the ensemble the first 3 years were music majors, and most of those music ed, so we really take that focal point. But Chester did an amazing job getting everything set up and setting up with excellence, and our kids actually run back and forth between sets, and no one's told them yet college kids don't do that in marching band, so we're hoping that they're not watching at the moment to know that that's something different. But yeah, Chester just really kind of set the pace and the curve of the entertainment excellence from a execution, but also what our focal point is a little different than some secondary world, and how the entertainment is a different element in the college realm. But really, I think it was a unique opportunity, as you said, that we really get to set the standard, and he did a really great job of motivating the students and the university to buy in to those objectives. Yeah.
How long have you been affiliated with the Smith Walbridge clinics?
This is my 4th year here. I guess I came for 2 years as a guest clinician when Dr. Morehouse was leading the track, and this is my 2nd year as the head clinician or lead clinician for the workshop.
And how, actually, Dave hasn't asked me to do this, but what sort of effect, banddirector.com is, I think, a fantastic resource. And I hate to say nice things about Dave when he's so close and can hear me. But when you're home, how do you use banddirector.com?
Well, you know, I think we are in an era where a Google search and a video and the kinds of resources that I know my students at Georgia State, that's the first two. I mean, we've gone back to books and texts, and I've got great stuff on my shelves, but the instant gratification of banddirector.com and the archival research and the ability, I mean, it's just mind-blowing to think that my students can log in and watch Kevin Seditol at Michigan State do a live concert right there from their dorm room. Is, man, we haven't had anything like that in our generation that can even come close to that. So I think it's huge what they're doing at banddirector.com in the archival and the opportunity to see conducting kinds of things that are going on there, the pedagogical kinds of things, the resources from the different vendors that are putting on those things. That's where we're headed, and they're leading the curve. So we're very, very fortunate, I think.
This is something, Dave's over there, he can't hear, so we can say whatever we want now. But this is something I think about quite a bit, and how to use video in my teaching, because like you said, I mean, the kids so native to what they do now. So how, if at all, how has this changed the way you teach?
Well, I teach a lot of the conducting pedagogy at Georgia State, and so because we're music ed oriented, a lot of the schools, the #1 digital platform in the country is Edmodo, and so many teachers in the ed world are being asked to learn that platform, etc. So I actually teach our conducting course through the Edmodo platform, and have opportunities to introduce TED Talk links, and it's a very Facebook-esque if you're not familiar with it. So it's very user-friendly to uploading videos. Students can take their own video and upload it. Then we have the opportunity just to link so many embedded resources that they have access to, and so it's a private setting where they have to log in and all that kind of stuff. So all the educational sides of it are taken care of, but the use of the digital format, I haven't downloaded a video teaching a conducting class yet, and so the kids create digital portfolios so they can see the whole progress. They got a great video, they can clip and save that to use for later. So it's just, I think it really is, why try to reinvent the wheel, but there's greater credibility if I can use a TED Talk or use something that Kevin has from Michigan State, or some of the the other things that we can link and attach right there that we otherwise before have no real access to.
Here's more of well, a different sort of question. If you could go back and talk to yourself, first year of teaching, what kind of advice would you give to yourself?
You know, we as musicians, I tell our students this all the time, but we as musicians, we spend so much time in the practice room, and we spend so much time getting amped up. It's like, okay, I've got to go out there and be successful. I'm going to go change the world. And then when we get out there, it's like, man, we don't want anybody to know that we suck. You know, so we're fighting this demon of the different voices on our shoulder about struggling, because no matter who you are, no matter how great you are, you've done very little of this thing we called band directing. And so it's a challenge for all of us. And so I think the thing I would tell folks the most is that, know that we all know that you don't know. And so,
right there.
Yeah, because, you know, we're so worried that someone might find us out. Well, the reality is we were all there, you know, and so we know that you don't know. And so I found that once I got past that and stopped worrying about what people think, I found the community to be very supportive and very helpful. So that why try to figure this out on our own when there are people now with, as we were trying to do with Freddie today, with FaceTime. There's so many people from across the country of our mentors that, hey, what about just FaceTiming and letting someone watch part of our rehearsal and give us some feedback later, or upload a recording of the rehearsal. Or there's just so many tools now. If we can get past that musician in our ego of going, hey, I don't know it all, but realize that there's so many people out there willing to help and offer resources and mentorship. To me, I think that would have changed. I was blessed in that I had great teachers that I worked with early in my career, and I can point so many things of what I know now and what I use on a daily basis back to the role modeling that was provided for me then. But you know, I was fortunate to be in a metro area where there were more teachers in a small amount of proximity, and so many of us are out. Like I grew up in a small town in the middle of Oklahoma, and so there was a one band director town for a while, you know. So to me, that's the key.
What was the spark that got you interested in going down this road?
Well, I'm a third-generation band director, if you count my grandfather to my uncle, and I'm really proud to say that my grandfather and my uncle are both clarinet players, of which I am the third generation of, and they were both, perhaps the only father-son Oklahoma Bandmaster Hall of Fame team. So for me, I grew up wanting to be a teacher, and my grandfather was my sixth grade band teacher, and so that was really cool. Except for when my dad made me call him Mr. Vandiwalker, and everybody trashed me for it because they all knew he was my grandfather. So I tried that for about 2 weeks, and it was like, screw this, it's going to be Grandpa. Everybody else knew anyway, you know. Yeah, so for me, it was just that my hero was my grandfather, and to teach band and see what he could do and help kids. And then for me, it became about what music did for me as an outlet, and wanting to pass that on to make a difference in kids' lives. So I always say, for me, what I do every day is I desire to make a positive difference in the life of a student, and music is the tool for which I get to do that.
That's really great. I just had another. Oh, here's a question. So you said you got 400 students that are in your school. I mean, in the School of Music. So the ones who are successful, I am at Carnegie Mellon University, and I've got one of my responsibilities is really cool. I'm the advisor for the freshman class from the School of Music, and it's interesting. They all have to go through me, and it's not about what classes to take, but what do you want to be when you grow up. And I want to get your perspective on what the ones that go on to be successes. Do you notice anything that they have in common? What are the traits of the successful students that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think the first and foremost is the students are always ahead of the curve and still seeking to learn extra opportunities. And particularly those students that are out there trying to be a part of their craft ahead of the curve. If they're a vocalist, are they working in a church setting with some vocal opportunities? Are they working with some schools and doing some things? Are they getting a chance to go out and get some studio time with a different professor outside of campus? Are our kids out? We rehearse on Wednesdays and Fridays with our marching band intentionally, so that because most of the high school bands in the Atlanta area rehearse on Tuesday, Thursday, so we want them out there teaching on those staff. So I think the first thing is who's out there thinking ahead of the curve and getting extra experiences to supplement what they're already getting at the university. I think that's the first thing I notice most. I think the second part that I notice are the folks that are trying to be the most diverse. You know, I don't know anyone in the School of Music when they get a degree, whether it's a performance degree, a technology degree, or whatever, that aren't going to be teachers of some sort. I don't know anyone that at this point isn't going to be an entrepreneur of some sort. As a band director, I have to find ways to market my band program and get the community to buy in, or to do a fundraiser correctly. Or if I'm going to be a performer, I've got to find ways to market myself within my community to get gigs. So I think those that have found success in the next tier are those that are diversifying and not just seeing them as a vocalist or an instrumental performer or just a teacher, because the world in which we live now is a diverse one, and I think it requires the music degree is only a launch pad, I really think, and I think it's easy to get tunnel vision and think that that's all it is. So I think the ones that are the most successful moving forward are the ones that are very disciplined to their art and passionate. I don't mean breadth of mediocrity either. I don't mean to imply that, but the given is that they're very passionate and disciplined about their craft, and that they're honing that craft. That I should have said that that's the home base, right. But the other that's breadth. The cost of admission. Correct. Exactly. Yeah. That's a great way to say that.
It seems like one of the common threads through a lot of what you've been talking about, both with your experiences and what you see in the students, is the same thing I see, which is that there's it's not that we don't experience fear, but that there's a sort of forcing yourself through that and dealing, creating or finding or stealing confidence to go and find these experiences, to try and be as diverse, which means you have to admit that you're not good at everything, right. And then you have to go develop those things.
That's right, and we're not really good at that.
No, we're not. It's a thing. Well, it's how do you train that? That's one of those questions that I kind of continually ask myself as well. We want to give them a soft place to fall, but let them know that they need to. There is a nest here for you, but you need to strive to go beyond it.
Well, I think it goes back to our artistic ego at the heart of it, because I was very fortunate to teach in the Atlanta area and in Cobb County schools where there's a high concentration of really master teachers. And once I realized that, if I am willing to suppress my ego a little bit and to ask Alfred Watkins down the street how he goes about teaching Lincolnshire, well, I win and my kids win. And if I'm willing to design a show and I want to go talk to Alfred about it, or Dave Starnes down the street, or Dave McGrath over here, then I grow, but more importantly, my kids win. And so for me, I learned early on, because I was in that kind of an opportunity, that it's okay to say, I don't know it all. And, I really talk to my students about, and some of the Booster Institute things that we've talked about, we have science teachers in our building, but we want the best chemistry person to teach AP chemistry. And we want our students to get the best AP physics teacher. And we're okay with going, they're all degreed in science, but we want the best chemistry teaching that AP chemistry class. And so I think we have to realize that in the science department, it's way okay for them to have specializations and have things that they're not maybe as good at and things that they're strong in. And for me as a band director or a performer, I may be great at expression, but that timing thing might not be so good, or vice versa, or whatever it is within our being. I think the more we can acknowledge that we don't have to have that, we don't possess that total package, and it's okay to seek out help to develop the total package.
Well, it's just been fascinating. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down. All right, well, thanks for